Hi there. Yes, go ahead and come in. You can sit wherever you'd like. So, you are enrolled at our university? ASMRU. Good, you're in the right place. Perfect. Okay, so you're here to pick your classes? Okay, can you give me your student ID number? And what is your name? Good, just making sure. Making sure everything's connected correctly. Shouldn't have any duplicates of people. That's for certain. That would be a horrible, horrible problem. Okay, so I do have two computers in front of me. I will be going between them. This one's going to have your schedule on it, and then this one is to help me look up the schedule. I know I can pull up multiple tabs, but it's just easier to have them both in front of my face. I'm sure you understand. Okay, so I can see that you are undecided on a major so far. Okay, let me grab my clipboard here so we can discuss some things. So I should introduce myself. I am Miss Alyssa. I am one of the professors here, but more commonly I am mostly an advisor. I do fill in where it's necessary in the arts department. Okay, so what I'm here to do is go over the class scheduling with you for the most part. You can come talk to me about different career paths potentially in your field, depending on where we choose to set you. You can be undecided for, I would say, the first year, year and a half, but the longer you go undecided, the more it's going to be difficult for us to branch you off into a path when you do pick one. Because sometimes you will have taken classes that don't actually apply to the path that we do decide on later on. Okay? Okay. Hopefully this isn't a ton of pressure. You do have time to figure stuff out, and I would say, especially not knowing the first year, is a good time to experiment with different options. But aside from that, I'm also here to explain like campus resources and any school rules, especially regarding the scheduling of your classes. Okay, so let's see, like there are adding classes, like add and drop dates. You can add classes, you can drop them before a certain time. If you, like, there's a deadline, so if you drop afterward it will affect your GPA, but if you drop before it won't. So sometimes the professor doesn't fit well with certain people, and that happens occasionally. So we are able to fix that. And let's see, anything else important that I need to go over with you? Oh, and I'll be doing the check-ins with you periodically, especially when we need to pick new classes for the semester. Just so we can make sure you're on track with the correct credits for whatever field you go for, whatever degree you go for. So yeah, let's see. Okay, how about you don't have like any interests or maybe paths you did in high school, even middle school, that would guide you to a potential career? Like if you took foods classes and you really enjoyed those, maybe you'd like to go for culinary school, though we don't offer that here. That is just an example, you know. So there's different technology routes. If you did like robotics classes or clubs, there maybe education. Okay, yeah, weren't that great at English and don't like to present. Completely understand. You focused on arts? Okay, well, great, because that's well, you're here talking to me, and that's probably why they paired you with me as an advisor. So what kind of art classes did you do? Okay. 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 All right, so that gives us some stuff to work with. Oh, computer arts as well? Okay. And what exactly did you do with that? Okay, so like graphic design and visual comms. Okay, good. Good. Did any of that stick out to you as something you'd be happy to do for a long period of time? Okay. Okay, so the graphic design and visual comms then? You could start with a path like that. That path specifically does split between the fine arts and the more computer graphics side. Yeah, so that you would then be required to have 2 advisors. Meeting with me today is fine. I can get you in touch with the other one. So sorry. My voice is quite raspy today. So do excuse me for that. Yes, digital illustration I believe would fall under that as well if you liked that aspect too, because you could combine like the drawing classes you mentioned you took with the graphic design stuff. So we do have, because it's split across both departments, we do have 2 different degrees for that. There's one that's the more fine arts one, and then one that's the Bachelor of Science. So with that then we can just look at it, and you will have to take mandatory courses that do kind of touch every degree, I would say. I do know from what you have here and what you mentioned that you do have credits that carried over. I was gonna say carrots. Credits that carried over. Let's see. Bring up the ones I have here. So yeah, under the Bachelor of Arts, which is my department, we have the computer-based graphic arts degree. And then under Bachelor of Science, we have, that would be computer information systems. So it does require you to take a lot of the same classes. With this one, you can be a little bit flexible if you want to start in like the fine arts department, but then later swap to doing the one in the science department. for computer science. So there's a little bit of flexibility with that one. You just have to eventually decide which degree you're going to go for, because then the last year and a half's requirements end up kind of splitting off into more of like the computer science or the visual arts. So, does that sound appealing? You do, let me see here, I've got a bunch of different notes. I do know that minors are required for some of the majors that don't have enough credits on their own, according to my information over here. The Bachelor of Arts, the minor is optional. I get confused with this still. And then the Bachelor of Science, the minor is required, because you normally need 130, let's see. Okay, so you would need 120 credits to complete the degree, and the computer information systems one does fall a little short, so you do have to make that up with a minor just to make sure you get the 120 credits, okay? So, sorry that took me a minute to look up. I know sometimes they go over to 130, but I think I tend to deal with people who stay a little bit longer than 4 years. So there's that. And I cannot show you the screen here, but let me give you one of the pamphlets. It has the differing classes on it. I believe it's in here. Okay. So this one specifically has to do with the graphic design degrees. This is just the basic front. It's for ASMRU. Don't sleep on your education. That's our motto here. And so you can go ahead and look at this, open it up, and you can cross compare as I'm talking about them here. But we also have the online classes as well, which is talked about in here, and some of those are optional for in-person or online, okay? So there's that for you to look over. You can follow along. Give me just one moment. I have to plug in my computer. Okay, hopefully that will work for us now. So, looking at the Bachelor of Science degree, you can see probably on there as well the requirements for the degree, and then it shows you how they're distributed. So you'll need different groups. They show you the basic ones pretty much in group 1, what you need for that, which some of these are ones that you have completed in high school here. I see the speech class is covered, so that makes this easier for you, a lot less to do. And you can distribute the classes an easier load if you'd like to spread them evenly out throughout the 4 years, or you can kind of front load yourself, do as many as you can in the first few years, and then have an easier last year, I would say, doing like 2 classes or so. But in order to be full-time, which I think will affect the financial aid, you would have to kind of do at least 4 classes a semester, 4 to 5. So it's really just depending on what you can handle and also if you are doing financial aid options. So there's that, and then I believe you have one of the math classes here. Let's see, so let me just write down what you do have. You have, oh, you actually have both of those. You just need one of them. And then it looks like you will have to take the psychology class. I'm just gonna write, which is make notes for myself here so we don't have to do a ton of back and forth. Okay, so you do have both of those. That eliminates 2 classes. And we can cross-check with the other one as well. Like I said, a couple of these ones at the beginning here, similar, especially between these two, similar. And a couple other degrees if you do decide to jump off of a graphic design degree. And I know I'm kind of just running with this here. Are you comfortable with pursuing this instead of being completely undecided so far, or? Yeah, it should touch on a lot of things that kind of cross over, especially the first semester. The second semester is where we're going to want to start picking a route. Yeah. Oh, and with the minor for this, if you do pick this one, it needs to be, or no, sorry, for the fine arts department, I'm fairly certain, it needs to be another degree outside of fine arts. It can't be 2 fine arts ones. You have to pick like one and then a separate school. Yeah. Okay, and then it says the second group for intensive writing that you need this one. Okay, you do have that as well. That's good. So good. And then let's see if they apply, because some of, I think your history one here doesn't cross over to our school. Okay, it looks like you will need the sciences. So a physical and life science, and then a social and behavioral science, a humanities, and course distribution. Between those two, the credits must equal 18 credit hours. So you need to do at least 2 in B or C, which we'll get into that later. We don't have the names in front of us right now, so. Let's see, group 4, cultural studies. So you'll need 1 in cultural studies, and then you'll need, how many? This is the core part here. So you need 45 credits because this is mostly the computer information system classes. And I think that does involve internships. So one of those requirements is an internship. So in order to get, we just have to get you to 45 credits there. And each class is usually 3 credits each. some of them that I don't think they apply to you here, but there are ones that only have 1 credit. And I think you need to take like all of the classes in that line to complete the 3. So there's like a basics, then an intermediate, then advanced. Okay. Yeah, it does recommend general business for, the minor. That I think is to kind of cover if you wanted to work for yourself, if you worked for someone else. It gives you the opportunity to be more aware of how all of the business stuff works and how your degree would fit into it. And then let's see. Yeah, you will need the internship credit. And this does a minimum of 105 credits in the College of Arts and Sciences. So I know that's kind of a lot, and if you've not been involved in the college atmosphere before, it's not, like, it sounds busy, but it's really just a matter of checking things off the list here. And like I said, if you try one and there's other options in that group, we can move you from one of them to another. It may not be at the same time slot, because with the college classes, they are by the availability of the professor. So with a lot of these ones for this degree, there's a issue with clashing. We only offer certain classes at certain times of the year because there are only 2 teachers that teach these, and so you need to be kind of available when they have the classes available. So when they come up, those are the ones you're going to want to take, and you may end up taking 5 to 6 classes just to make sure you're doing all of the ones that are being offered at that moment for graphic design. So we'll get into that in a moment. Let's look at the fine arts degree. So this one I think is written out quite nicely. Oh, I do have the file pulled up with these on here. I didn't end up printing it out. I'm so sorry. They're written on there still on that pamphlet, but I do have actual handouts. So when we're done talking here, I can get you that. It would probably be a lot easier to look at than the pamphlet, and it has a little bit more information. Okay, so the requirements in the computer information systems, which is what we were just looking at, that degree for the fine arts, is listed out very nicely here. Just literally bullet points them for you. So you need a total of 18 credits from there. And then from the fine arts department, you need 33 credits because this would be the one that you're mainly going for. So it does mention here that you have the 2 advisors. And let's see, it says Introduction to Computing 106. Okay, yep. And then Introduction to Digital Application. A lot of this is going over like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. You're going to be learning all of that, and then you're going to be hopping into the deeper stuff with Adobe. So then we have web programming, multimedia arts and technology, topics in informatics, mastering the World Wide Web. So that is a website programming class as well, and learning how to use coding. Online document development, that has to do with like creating forms and everything like that. And I believe for that one it does have to do with like envelopes and like literally anything you could make to fill out. And then there's an individual programming lab where it pretty much tells you what it is you individually program. So that you could better talk about with the computer degree, like the computer schools side. And that's where a lot of them overlap, so I didn't read out the list, but you could see on there like a lot of them are the same, that you have to start with the basics and build up. That's how everything is. So you are required to do like the 100 level, the 200 level, before you can get to the 300 and the 400 level. And the 300 and the 400 level are where we want you to be getting credits from, so you need to do these basic ones first year. Try to do as many as you can, so that way you basically unlock the ability to get into the higher ones later on. Or, like, delaying those and not doing them right away is where students get stuck, and then you have to be here longer. Yeah. And then the fine arts requirements, as you can see, fundamental studio drawing or fundamental studio 2D. That would touch on probably things you did in high school, the drawing. And it will be a refresher course, most likely. You will probably have done a lot of the stuff like the color theory and color wheel and the elements and principles. So let's see. You will need a history of art class, at least one of those. And that's in the 100 levels, and then it unlocks, you can go to a 300 or 400 it says, so you'll need one in the 100 level and one of the classes in the 300 or 400 level. Then you need introduction to design practice, and that opens up the abilities to do graphic design 2, which introduction to design practice is graphic design 1. And then we have production for graphic design. That is graphic design 3. And then graphic design 4. And then there's graphic design problem solving. That is a 400 level class. That one does involve problem solving, as it says, but kind of more communication with the rest of the class and other ways to probably use the tools you're looking to use to complete a design. I just have the overviews of everything, not the specifics, so I have sat in on a few of these, but I'm not the expert. Typography, that is the study of type and practicing with different type as well, layouts and everything. Layout design is a separate class. Package design is a separate class. This is where you get into the issues here, because these 400 level classes are only 2 credits each, so you do have to do more classes. They try to squeeze in more classes by making them less credits, I believe. So they are required classes you have to do, but for less credit. And I think this is where it more breaks down the different elements of graphic design that you will be practicing but also implementing, so it spends a little bit more time on those things for you. Then you need to do art theory. I believe that's another history class, in all honesty. It's a lot more thinking about pieces, writing about different times in the art history, and touching on different theologies through art. And then finally, you will have the independent study. We call that your senior show. That is kind of what the computer science element needed. But that one is individual programming, where this one is an individual project. So there's a lot of setting up fake stores. There's a lot of designing t-shirts, like a t-shirt brand, just creating different pieces of art using graphic design, digital creation, and such. I've seen a lot of interesting pieces. There was one where a student made kind of like those tic-tac-toe boards you see at the park where they spin. It was a giant art piece of different smaller images they made graphically, and then there was also a side that had a huge picture on it that they were able to put on it, so it was a big like interactive display. And then of course you have to write about it and explain everything. They'll give you the bullet points when it comes to that, but that is what we touch on with the fine arts degree. Okay, I'm going to get these printed off for you. I'm going to take a moment here. My voice is a little dry. We will get back into actually picking the schedule for you. And again, while I'm away, if you decide that that's not perfect for you at the moment, we can look at other options, okay? Okay. Take a minute, think about it. Maybe look either side you're thinking about. If you have questions, do ask me when I get back. Just think about it, okay? All right, let me get these printed for you. Okay, I'll go get those. Okay, I'm back. And I have the papers printed out. I printed for you the fine arts outline here, and then the computer information systems Bachelor of Science as well. So there's that. And then I also printed for you, as I'm required to supply this to everyone, the student resources. The list of them is right here, and then you can find the information under it. It's in a lighter text, which isn't great for everyone's eyes, right? But there's that list of those as well. If you do have any issues reading the information or finding where the resources are, let me know and I can get you in touch with them. So there's all of that, and then I do have copies for myself here too. You know, this desk is small. Also got a lot of stuff on it. Okay, so let's get back to business then. Was there a degree that you were eyeing more specifically? I know the probably the computer information systems one feels like a lot more work because of how it's written out and all that, but honestly it's the same amount of work. It's the same amount. So where was I? Okay, let me go ahead and bring up the class finder. Oh, this is the website that has all the resources on it. So maybe I will leave that up right now. Sorry about all the bumping. They're working on the building. And then of course they really need to work on the air conditioning because it makes a horrible sound. Let's see. There we go. Register for classes. Are you doing financial aid? Are you using it? Okay, so we'll probably need to do 4 to 5 classes to make sure you meet the requirements for that. So when you go to register, you can do this on your own as well, but because it's your first time doing this, I can help you pick them out. Let me put these on here. You're thinking the fine arts one? Okay. So yeah, the ones that I mentioned off of here that should count over here as well. Those will be the ones that fall outside of the requirements between the 2 separate schools. So you just need 120, so it really, on this public breakdown that they give out, it really should tell you the ones that you need specifically, but I do have that information and it is basically the same thing. So we can cross those out for you on here. What did I say they were? Was that is, I'm going to write it on the second page here. You have 131, 19, and 2, 3. Okay, so you do need the K, which I wrote on this other paper here. You do need the K300. I'm having issues getting into, let's see. I'm getting to that okay, but I'm having issues getting to the list of classes now. Okay, so we can type in the course codes to find what's available here. So this is kind of just a game of going back and forth, figuring out which ones are open at the moment and if the hours line up with what you're available to do. Let's do fall. Here we go. They're using 2 things right now and it's crossing over and it's getting confusing. I found the one I know how to use. So sorry about the wait there. Okay. So 106. View scheduled classes. There we go. Okay, so we have a couple different ones open. And some of these are 6-week classes as opposed to 8-week classes. You can do a sped up version of the class if you prefer. So we have the dates here. If you, because it's your first semester, if you want to do them at the normal pace and see how that goes for you, that's fine. This class with this teacher here is Monday and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. So we can note down a couple of these and then come back and actually, like, if you want to, we can just pick them for you now and then you can go in and actually register for them. We can work out which time slots are available. So this first one here that I mentioned, the 11 a.m. to 12:15, only has 6 people out of 20 in it so far. And it is going to be in this building here that you're in. I thought I was going to mention something else, but that one's pretty open, so you should not have issues getting into that even if we don't register for it like right here, right now. So I can write them down on this one for you. Let's see. So this one is Monday, Wednesday, and they are only 2 days a week. Some may specify if they are more or less. So this is 11 a.m. 11 to 12:15. And you do have to make sure that you don't put them too close together or overlap them, because you will be late for the one that's after the one before it. So yeah, the online version of this one is 8 weeks. Sorry, 8 weeks, as opposed to the, I can't think of it, just the regular length of time. Some of them are 6 weeks, but 8 weeks is the standard. I'm so sorry, I'm getting confused. And if anything I say is confusing and you need a refresher on it, let me know and I can check that. Okay, so that's available at that time, but you need that to get into the 2 and 3 that is required. Well, the 200 and the 300. This 300 level one, though, if you're following along on your paper, the 340 is the introduction to web programming. You can do that one actually, or this one, or this one. So as long as you have one of these 3, it covers that. But you do need to do this one and this one to be able to even get into those, because they're 300 and 400 level classes. And then, so see, it looks like a lot, but when you read through it more specifically, you're like, oh, actually, it's just picking one of those. Okay. So there's that. Like I said, though, the graphic design ones are ones we want to pay attention to when they open. So we'll have to do your fundamentals first. Let's go back to this computer and we're going to find, I need to type in the code here. Well, I typed that one in, so I don't think that one's available for this fall semester. Did I type it in wrong? Try that again. Yeah, so that doesn't look like that one's available. Let's try this other one here, the history of art. Okay, so, okay, it can be any of them in the A100 series. So what we do have open is ancient and medieval art. That is the A101. I'm not seeing, yeah, the only other one option, the only other A option open is the 400 one, which is the senior class. So do you want to do ancient and medieval art to get this one out of the way? Okay, so for this one then, we will do A-dash. And let's see what we have available with this one. That's an online class. Are you okay doing online classes, or do you prefer the in-person ones? Okay, you can do both. Let me put that on there. So this one, we don't have to worry about the time slot then. So I put the online there, so you know. And then what else do we need? I can see some of the graphic design ones open here. That's the 300 though. Yeah, so we can't have you jumping into that yet. Next semester you can start jumping into those. Wait a second. Where did I see that? Oh, that's fundamentals of photography there. Oh, wait, drawing. It wants you to do 100 or 102. Let's see. There are prerequisites. That one's also online for this, but it's not noting any specific prerequisites. So I'm wondering if we could actually get you into this graphic design class. Okay, that is online. It is that one. I'm just going to put online next to that. So they may not let you into that one, but it didn't say specifically that you needed that. So, like I needed to get past the 100 levels for that. Sometimes the 200 level ones let you in. So because that's happening, you should start doing those if you can. And like I said, you're undecided, but maybe if you want to take that class to like dip your feet in a little bit more, see how that goes, you can do that. I think we found all the ones on here. All right, we're gonna go back up to the computer information systems ones. Let's do okay, so that one is open as well. That one's open as well. 340 is 2, but you need to get past this. Okay, that one's online. You might have, which I don't really recommend for a first year student, but you might have a decent amount of these online. Because it's good to kind of like dip your toes in. Okay, so this one says that it does have a prerequisite, and it is prerequisite. I'm saying it wrong. Prerequisite. This one does say that there is a prerequisite, and it is the 106, but I wonder if you're taking it at the same time, if it's okay. Again, sometimes they let you do that. So I wrote that on there for you, and this is going to be for the fall semester. Okay. And we need this one, which may also require a prerequisite. Let's try it. Okay, it's not being offered that semester. So some of the other ones you'll need. I can hook this on here. Let's see, we'll need the, what is it? We'll need a psychology class, and normally you have to do statistics with the computer ones. So let's see if we can get the statistics ones. Okay, K300. Yeah, statistics is that one. That is Monday and Wednesday from 9:30 to 10:45, which you could do with the 15 minutes in between the introduction to computing. I do try to get the classes on the same days because if you travel here for school, like if you're a commuter student, it can be a pain to have to keep coming back every day, especially if you have to work. So try to do these 2 days. Sometimes a Friday is required for specific classes, but try to fill up the 2 days a week so that you have the rest of the week to work or do whatever else you may have to. So it's right back here. And yeah, like I may have mentioned this, I will give you this one. You can just leave your copy that I handed you on the desk. But I wanted you to be able to follow along. So you do need the case. So that is Monday, Wednesday, 9:30 to 10:45 a.m. So that won't clash with the other one. If you wanted to do the online ones along with the 2 that we picked here, then your schedule would probably be done. We'd be done figuring it out. But for safety, let's go ahead and find other ones in case you can't get into one of the 200 level ones. Do you have any idea of something you'd like to minor in potentially? Because you could start dipping into the minor as well. We'd have to do 100 level to get you started in it, but you'd then be able to expand on that too. And with that one you can wait like a year or 2. Let's see if actually this one requires you to do a not seeing it there, but okay, so the prerequisite would have been the math classes, so you can get into this 300 level one here. Okay, so that one you're all good for. You do have the English. So yeah, if there is anything else you're interested in, like psychology, sociology, we have general psychology here if you want to try that. That's a 100 level. Let's see what the Monday, Wednesday, or there's a lot of online options for that. Because that Monday, Wednesday does overlap. This is, again, just optional. Personally, what I did was kind of explore different groups of stuff before I settled on a minor. So you could do that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Did you want to go for business like it mentioned? Or education? Okay, we can look at that. So these seem like they have a lot of prerequisites. Yeah, there's really no 100 levels for that. So what are the prerequisites? Let me find a 200 level. Okay. Okay, there isn't one for this one. It's called Examining Self as Teacher. That's in person, but that's Tuesday and Thursday. Another 200. Introduction to Exceptional Children. Those are online. Wow, a lot of these that we're finding are online this coming semester. That's interesting. Okay. Well then, do you want to... Maybe we should just, while you're in here, apply to these, see if you can get into these ones. The in-person ones, you should have no problem getting into. Those do meet the requirements that we have to meet. And then it's just, what, 2 online ones that may be iffy. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to get you in these. I'm going to need your student number again. Okay. So we're going to pick the classes. We are picking the Introduction to Computing, which is and don't worry if I type something wrong, it lets me know something won't match up. Okay. Got you in this one. Check that off. Let's do the other in person, which is the and we wanted the Monday, and that is from 9:30 to 10:45. So you'll have those 2 classes in person on the campus. They do have the codes by them when we get your schedule together of what building they're in. So like I said, the computer one that you have is in this building. And then the psychology one will be in the building next to this, actually. Just a short walk. So you should be able to make it with no problem. And then you are welcome to stay on the campus for your online classes if you'd like to handle them with our computers here. You are also capable of doing that at home. You can just log into the portal. Okay, I'm just switching to the online thing now. Let's see. So this is -A. Okay. I think there are capacities on the online ones, but there was space in that one. Okay, so we need this one now, which was online. So this should give you 5 classes and meet requirements of the financial aid. Because I think you have to be a full-time student. Some of them are different. The This is the Introduction to Digital Applications. one last one here. What did I say? This one. This one I believe they'll let you into. It's a 200 level. And you did meet requirements of different art classes from your high school, so if anyone needs to second review that, you know, like in person review it, there shouldn't be a confliction. So this is dash Introduction to Design Practice. Okay. Online. Alright, so if you don't want to be an overachiever and load up on a ton, completely get it. I do recommend just like I recommend trying to do more in-person classes if you can, but the ones that are available to you, like I said, like these open in weird windows, so you kind of have to take them when you can take them. Otherwise, you may have to wait like a whole year because it won't be available the spring semester. So yeah, recommend that you do more in-person ones, but I also recommend that you don't overload your first year just to see how things are and how you can handle them, because it's different from high school in the terms of how you're graded, how you're meeting. You're not meeting almost every day a week, you're meeting twice a week, and then the way they have you turning things in, it's all different, so you just want to make sure you can handle it. Okay, let me give you these notes that I took here. I'll keep this back sheet for me, so yeah, you can just give me, or just leave it there, that's fine. If you did want to take the other one, we didn't write on it, so you can take the one you have. Take the other one in case you do want to, you know, change your mind about the path you're going down for that. It happens a lot, so you're not inconveniencing me. It's a thing I do all the time here. And yeah, if there's anything you have questions about, please let me know. And if a professor doesn't meld well with you, because there are some that do have issues with people, or they're just very, very strict, and while they should be, you know, serious about how they grade and teach, some of them are power hungry. So I am not in control of who stays and who goes, but I am in control of if we swap the class you're in, and if that works. We'll have to review everything again, and then I'll have the better list of all the other requisites that you need. If you think you'll need a tutor, we can figure that out. That information is on that paper I gave you. Let me check my other notes here. I took some notes before our meeting, kind of noting all the things you did take already in high school. We don't have to worry about internships right now. That's a 3rd and 4th year issue. Also, oh, let me get you scheduled with the computer information side, so that way you can cross reference, because you do need to talk to both of us for both of these degrees, because it involves so much of each one. Pardon me, I'm gonna take a sip. And then for some of these classes, you do have to make sure, well, in general, like staying at the school, you do need to make sure you are meeting your GPA requirement. If it drops to would say about a 2. We do have to discuss some things. We do have to meet again and check in. You may have to cut back to a part-time student, which does affect then your financial aid. But it could be helpful for, you know, mental and other stability, especially if things conflict with work. Okay? Yeah, sorry if I didn't explain that well. The credits are just basically what each class is worth and contributing to the total number that you need so that we know you are educated enough to be given that degree. Okay? And sometimes there are exceptions with the, like I said, the 300 and the 400 level classes. Sometimes you can flip-flop them, other times they're very strict because this degree is 2 degrees, like overlapping kind of thing, 2 schools overlapping. They are kind of strict about what you need. It's still a fairly new degree given at this school, so we don't have an overabundance of flexibility with that. Okay, so I've noted that you need to meet with them, and I've copied and pasted your school email address in here, so be sure to check that because things will start rolling in there soon, and you'll be able to log into your portal soon as well. That should be an email you receive, but the computer information systems advisor will be in contact with you soon. If he isn't and you don't hear from him, let me know, okay? Because it is pertinent that you meet with him before the classes actually start. Yeah, you need to get acquainted with both of us, and then he can cross-check stuff, but I'm pretty sure. I've done this for a little while now, so I know what's going on. If you need counseling services, I am not the counselor, I'm just the advisor, but we do offer that on the campus, so if things do get overwhelming or, you know, you're dealing with other stuff and you need a resource, that is available in the main building closest to the parking lot. Yes, so the room is on there. If you do need it and are looking for it and you can't find it, because I know some of these buildings are mazes, you can ask any of the, like, any of the professors or even some of the staff that work in the cafeteria area. They're so familiar with the place now, they can point you where that wing is. There's also police officers that wander around protecting the school, so they can tell you where it is too. If you ever don't feel safe walking to your car, I should mention this. We do have telephones around the campus that you can, pretty much you just pick it up and it calls the police department of the school. Because I know that when it gets later at night and it's darker, there are lights on out there, but it's just a safety thing that we offer. The police will escort you to your car so you feel safe, okay? I think that's a pretty standard campus thing. I know it can sound scary to some people, but it is an option if you need it. Or if there's another kind of emergency that may have come up. Those are close by, so it can get in contact with the people on the campus right away. Do you have any other questions? Yeah, so like I said, you can switch your major, but it will impact the year you are in school. If you're 2 years into this graphic design one and you've already started taking classes and you decide you want to switch to photography, that will have different requirements that you probably didn't meet because you were following a different pathway. So that's why it's important to pick the path you're going as soon as possible. You can be undecided majority of the time you're here, and there's unspecified degrees, but those get a little bit more confusing. Okay, so I submitted everything. I emailed the other advisor, and we got your classes scheduled, so you should be receiving emails with finalizations for that. I did get green lights over here so far for all of these, and that should mean you're in all of them. So that's great. Welcome to the school, and please feel free to stop by if you need anything, okay? Any last minute questions? No? Okay, perfect. All right then, if that's everything, make sure you take your papers that I gave you, and you can head out when you're ready. Okay? It was a pleasure meeting you.